Hey, what's going on?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm all right.
Awesome. So we are live. I hope so. Actually, it's showing that we are live. Camila, can you test on your cell phone if our live stream is working and you can hear us well on
Yes,
YouTube,
boss.
YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and everything else?
All you're on all of them, huh?
Yeah, all of them at once. Yeah, so it's really a pleasure to have you here, Tony. So thanks
Of
for having
course.
us here today. Thanks for your time. First of all, I admire a lot your work on LinkedIn. I follow you like a long while ago, and it's always nice that you focus a lot on Brazilian professionals, right?
No, yeah, no, I appreciate it. I've been following what you guys have been doing for a long time too, and I think it's a great thing that what you guys are doing.
Awesome. Thanks. This is Gaby. Gaby, we can't hear you. You are muted.
Yeah, no longer. Hi, Tony. Welcome. How's it
Hey, Gabe.
going?
I'm all right, Gabe. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Better now that you are here. Thanks
We
so
all
much for
we all
accepting our invitation to
we all
this.
we all have our glasses, so we're
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's our uniform. We need
ex-
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, Tony, this is our community. This is it's kind of a merge between like a podcast and a live that we do like weekly. We have sometimes twice a week, and in this call we invite like very important people like you to like we just want to break that wall between the candidates and the
Mhm.
recruiters.
Sure.
So we bring people who understand a lot about the processes and this kind of stuff to just help us break this wall and make everything fluid and people understand, look, this is a recruiter, you know. So let's just introduce each other and feel everyone comfortable. So that's the purpose of our community, just to facilitate this communication among companies, and mostly about like American companies, because like
Yeah.
it's all structure that you need like to input inside of the talent minds about constructing the relationship. This is like this is a taboo, right? So please, I would ask you to please introduce yourself, because yeah, we all know you have your platform, you like have your services and consultancy and all of that, but I would like
Yeah.
to introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, no, thanks again for having me, guys. Yeah, my name is Tony Teshara, and I own a staffing and recruiting firm called Handle. And I've been operating now for a little over 4 years.
Mhm.
And really, what we specialize in is helping talent in Brazil
Mhm.
find jobs in US and Canadian companies. And they can range in size from very, very early stage startups to
Mhm.
very, very mature and enterprise companies. And so I've worked now with all sorts of companies. I think in 4 years, I've placed probably over 200 Brazilians into
Oh
different
gosh,
jobs. Yeah,
Holy
yeah.
cow.
that's amazing.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
thanks so much for that. What the heck?
Yeah. And one of the things that I've been doing that's a little different is I don't focus so much on what we call nearshoring, right?
Mhm.
We're like the agency model, because one of the things is a lot of people on here probably already know if you've ever worked for some of the larger nearshoring agency is that they keep quite a bunch of the pay,
A
right?
lot. Yes.
Right. So it could be 40, I've seen 50%. And for me, I mortally had a problem with that. And so I started shifting our business model away from a nearshoring agency model more to a direct hire placement where companies now know how to use Deal and Rippling, and they know how to pay talent directly, but they don't know how to find them. And that's kind of where I come in. Is I'm like a matchmaker. I help connect the talent with the companies and let them hire them directly,
Mhm.
right? So what I always tell my candidates is I work for the company, but I also work for the candidates. And I think that's something that's really, really important is I work for everyone to find a win-win for both sides. It makes everyone happy, right? And
Uh-huh.
so I've been doing that for the last couple of years. We do other countries besides Brazil. I do Argentina, Colombia, but I would say about 95%
Mhm.
of our recruiting is out of Brazil, which I love.
Uh-huh. Amazing. Yeah. So I have a lot of questions for you,
Yeah,
by
me
the way.
too.
We
Yeah, yeah.
know. We all
I'm
do.
insecure
But
myself. Just
but I have like a very important question that you
Yeah,
know how we Brazilians work so far. So
yeah.
the question that we would like to first ask you as an American is why Brazil? That's the first question.
Yeah, that's a great question. I got into it accidentally, right?
Mhm.
Like all good things that happen, it's usually sort of accidentally. So I was working for a software company and they were using a development team from India, and we wanted to make a change and we wanted to find better time zone overlap. Started talking to some friends and they were saying, hey, you should look into Brazil. I was like, I never thought about that before. So I engaged and we hired up a Brazilian dev team and they did amazing. Like, just like, wow, like we didn't know it could be possible. So fast and great overlap, and the results were so much better. I told another friend who worked for a software company and said, hey, guess what we did? And they're like, oh my gosh, we want that too. And
Mhm.
so then
Mhm.
before you know it, we realized we had a business. And this was all before the pandemic and
Mhm.
COVID, or before like remote work became really, really popular.
Mhm.
And I hired an agency down in Brazil to help me go find the talent in Brazil, but they were too slow. My clients were like, so I went on LinkedIn. I knew nobody in Brazil. I was like,
Uh-huh.
I'm a white guy from California. I don't know anybody. And I just started introducing myself. I was getting a lot of people ignored. But then what happened was I got my first person out of Brazil working for a company.
Mhm.
And they did amazing, just great work. Company says, hey, we need one more. So I go back to my first hire, my first developer, and say, like, hey, do you have any friends? They're like, yeah, I know a friend, right? And then before you know it, slowly but surely. And so the question is like, why Brazil? It's because what I discovered is that Brazil has some of the warmest, most genuine, hardest working, low ego personalities that I've ever seen. People are willing to work extra hard to prove their worth. And what I look at is if people are willing to do that and they're not even working at a company yet, what do you think they're going to be like when they're actually working for you? And so I think Brazil is the best secret that people don't even know about.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that's you know, uh we are Brazilians, so we are not the best people because me and Paulo, you know, we are content creators here on LinkedIn, and we say this quite a lot. Like, like Brazilians are like we really love to work really hard. We really love to give our best. And like because of economics and this kind of stuff, we are way more valued when we are just working for American companies and living here in Brazil. Of course, the living cost is way lower here, so it's just a better position to be. So so based on that, it's very, very important for you as an American saying that to everyone here listening to this right now, because this is something that I think right now, Tony, that uh, we in Brazil, who are like work mostly for the tech field, but also any other kind of remote work. I always say that the highest objective we currently can have professionally is working for an American company, because that's, or even sometimes European companies, because this is like the best place we can have to have like a very good paying amount in our salary. So I would like to bring that there's a very famous post you posted once, which is like regarding the American companies that pay companies like $70 per hour, but they just pass us Brazilians like the $30, $20 an hour. So, and the question that's commonly asked to me is like, is this achievable for Brazilians, like to have, let's say, $40 an hour, 50, 70 and more? So this is like another classical question that we
Sure.
always have to respond to. But sometimes they just look like, look, American would never pay that to a Brazilian, because this is just like they would hire another American to do that work. So how do you respond to this?
Yeah, and that's a great question, and it's something that I would say it's got a complicated answer, right? Because
Yes, definitely.
one of the biggest values that come to North American companies is the cost savings. You mentioned the unit economics, where somebody can pay a certain amount and they work in the United States, or they can go to Brazil and they might be able to get the same level but pay less. And so there's an advantage to that. Now, what I do advise companies about is you have to be very, very careful about offering too low, even for a country like Brazil, because that is like a level of exploitation. And right. And so sometimes I'll have people ask, we want an AI engineer who's got a PhD in, machine learning, and we want to pay them $3,000 USD a month. And I just have to explain, it's insulting, and you're not going to find somebody of that caliber. And I said, even if you did, what incentive will they have to work hard for you? And so what I explain to companies is you have to be able to be willing to invest into the talent to make them feel valued, so that way they will want to come work for you. Now, really, at the end of the day, it depends on the founder themselves. I've filled a couple of roles lately where it was paying $10,000 USD a month, and that was for like a React developer. So it really depends on the mentality of the company itself. Some companies are like, I don't care if where you work, regardless of geography, we're going to pay the same. And then we have some that are going to pay really below market. It just depends, company by company. What I really just try to advise beyond anything else is just making sure that, are we paying out in USD, not local currency? Are there other benefits? Is there equity? Is there anything else that we can offer to be able to make sure that it's a competitive package as well? So, it's not like it was in 2022 when people were willing to pay a lot more. The reality is a lot of these companies, they have limited cash flow. And so they're struggling. This even affects the United States. A lot of American developers are making way less than they did 3, 4 years ago. So it's across the board. It's just, I really do try to advocate for people in Latin America and Brazil to like, hey, I understand that you want to get a fair price, but it has to be fair for the developer as well.
Awesome. And this was one of the characteristics that I was that that really took my attention, because the openings that you had always had like really good salary, and sometimes, sorry, Mike is my boss. I hope he's not looking at this. But I was like, holy crap, I'm gonna apply on
Mhm.
this, you know, because this
Yeah.
is a lot of money. This is an awesome job opening, you know, and it's really rare to find those kind of positions that pay more for latent candidates, because this is something that our community always complain. There are two things that our community most complain. The first one is this salary
Mhm.
difference. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the difference will always exist, but sometimes it's
Yes.
really exploring. And the other one is this opening a trustable position? Is the company trustable? You know, and
Mhm.
that's why we bring you here, because I trust in the job openings you have, because you have a process to of diligence, right? I mean, the company will be real. The opportunity is
Yeah,
real.
yeah, yeah. I
And
mean, and we do get it, like where we do get a lot of companies that will, like, I will waste a lot of time too on companies who say we need to hire somebody next week, and I'm like, okay, and I'm on there and I'm interviewing people, and then they say, yeah, we've changed our mind, right? So that happens still quite a bit, and the reality is most companies are not paying six-figure salaries yet. Um, but it's getting a little bit better. They do have the highest engineering bar of anywhere because they want to feel justified to be able to pay that kind of rate for somebody, who lives, abroad.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's why we have our job board. So if you want, we can post your jobs in our homepage. We have lots of
Oh
traffic
yeah,
there.
definitely. You are more than welcome. We
Yeah.
do that for you. We do that for you just to bring traffic, like both for your job positions and
Yeah,
also to help our community. We can do that whenever you want to. That would be like, we would really appreciate if we could have any kind of job postings from you in there. That would be amazing.
great.
So, and we promise that we can just make like a very good deal for you. We really promise that. And because we want to be a bridge to the American companies, like we want everyone to be here. We want all the mentorships, all the consultants, like everyone. I mean the career consultants, because we also we don't like those near shores who just undervalue Brasilia. So I have a question here from Mateus. He's like from the community. He's
Yeah,
asking, like, I'm starting to just bringing some random questions that the community also asks. So
yeah.
please feel. So the question is: do you get overwhelmed by DMs when you open a new position? How do you deal with that? Do you respond to everyone? How could we get your attention in this regard? So people want your attention.
Yeah, that's a great question. It gets depending on the position. Like sometimes, to put it in perspective, right now I have almost 2,000 connection requests that I can't get to just because I'm just one person. I'm working with a partner now down in Brazil to kind of help streamline some of those processes. Depending on the positions itself, yeah, it can be pretty overwhelming. One of the things that we've putting together is we're doing like a TypeScript form for the jobs that we're posting that candidates will be able to then apply through directly. And that will help kind of, I think, clear up some of the noise that happens in LinkedIn DMs. So that's going to be coming soon, probably in August, for the jobs I post. Is people will be able to apply directly, and then they'll go through the sort of qualification questions, and that will help us figure out right away who might be the best fit to be able to do that.
Mhm, mhm.
So that's coming soon.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. And um, I would like to ask you something that I'm the king of dumb questions, so don't get me wrong. I just try to make it the best I can. So let's say you open a position, and how do you like go and search for people on LinkedIn sometimes, or do you have like your own ATS where you get like candidates from and you browse from there? How the process work for you to like find the talent?
It's a little bit of both. If I have I have a trusted inner circle of talent that I know down in Brazil that I'm always going to, where I've worked with them before, or I know they have a high engineering expertise, that I'm going to probably check with them first to see, if they'd be a good fit for a job. If not, then typically what we're doing is we're going to make the job posting public. We also have our own newsletter that we're also putting exclusive jobs to our subscribers on there to be able to read. Now, if we have jobs that are a little more specialized, then yeah, we're going to do a little more direct searching and reaching out. So we do get a lot more. So like if somebody says, hey, I need a React engineer or a Python engineer, it's pretty easy to find them in my network. But if we start getting into things that are a little bit more of a, legacy system that requires special skills, then oftentimes we're going to go hunting for them as well. So it's a little bit of combination of everything.
Amazing. And let's say this is like a very common case as well, and you know about that. Like, let's say someone is looking for his first job in United States, or like it's gonna be like their first job working remotely for an American company, internationally, whatever. So what increases the chance of this person to get this kind of job and be found and like be, because like you have seen those talents that sometimes they are very good, but they just don't have any previous experience abroad. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I hear that question all the time. And, one of the things I would tell anybody who asks me this question, and I will tell anybody on this call right now, is I don't care if you're a software developer, a UX designer, QA engineer, your job is to be in sales. And that means you're selling yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way that we have to do that in 2025 is we have to create a brand, and that brand is yourself. So really the number one thing I ask people is, okay, how active are you on LinkedIn? How active are you reaching out to people and connecting with them, right? We have to be able to start doing that to kind of stand out from the noise of everyone who's applying, right? So my trick, and I'm going to give away some free advice here, is what I always say is, first thing I would do if I was looking for my first American job is have an idea of, okay, what kind of company do I want to work for, right? So we want to narrow it down. So you have to decide, okay, do I want to work for an enterprise company, or do I want to work for a startup? Okay, I want to work for a startup. Okay. Do I want to work with a really, really early stage startup that maybe has 20 or less people? Or do I want to work for a company that has a Series A and it's like 50 to 100 people? What industries do I want to work in? Am I passionate about fintech? Am I passionate about crypto? Am I passionate about AI? What we have to start doing is we have to start creating a company profile. Once you have an idea of saying, okay, I want to work for a company that's based in the United States that specializes in AI agents. It's under 100 employees total, and maybe they're making less than 50 million revenue. I would then open up Chat GPT and I would put all my information in there and say, hey, I am a Python engineer with 3 years experience. I speak great English, but I've never worked for an American company. Give me a list of 50 companies that match my profile. Start creating that profile. Now I have a target list. I can start going out and networking with these people, right? So take the first company on your list. I'm going to
Mhm.
go to I'm going to go to their LinkedIn page. I'm going to make connection requests with 3 to 5 people, right? And you want it to be meaningful. A founder, a CTO, somebody who's going to have impact, right? Make a connection with them, start commenting on their stuff. And then eventually, if they accept your connection request, what you're going to start doing is you're going to reach out like, hey, I'm Tony. I'm a big fan of your company. I've been following it for a long time. Um, you know, I'm a really, really strong Python engineer, and I'm looking for my first opportunity to work in a company like yours. I know you probably don't have any openings, but I would love to stay connected just in case that opportunity comes. Now, here's the reality, guys. They're probably going to ignore you. And that's okay. That is okay. I'm not going to tell you everybody's going to answer and say no problem. The reality is they're going to ignore you. But then what you do is you make a reminder and say, okay, in 1 week, I'm going to put their profile in the chat GPT and say, give me an article or a piece of news that is relevant to this profile, right? Get something. Then I'm going to send it to them on LinkedIn and say like, hey, Gabe, I know you probably saw this already, but I saw this and I thought of you. Hope you have a great day. We're just creating awareness. Maybe it's a holiday coming up. Hey, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whatever, right? If you did that for 50 companies, 3 people each, that's 150 people you're networking with. Eventually, what happens is if they do post a job, I can then, in addition to applying, I can go back to them directly and say, like, hey, remember me? I really care about your company. I would love an opportunity to have a conversation. It doesn't mean it's going to work every time, but it's those little tricks because now you're in sales and you're selling yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I constantly tell the community about that you need to behave as uh, an entrepreneur, right? Entrepreneur, right? So
Mm.
you need to be a business person. You need to sell yourself. You need to prospect as company prospect clients. You need to prospect works, prospect the right people. And as you said, look, guys, this is like an amazing tip that Tony is giving here for free. If you message like a lot of people, imagine like being like meaningful, like meaningful. Someone is going to respond to you. And when you get back to a job posting, for example, it's not going to be like the first time they're going to see your face. It's going to be, look, oh, that guy who just messaged me like 6 months ago, oh, he's here. So that's the guy. And that's just like building relationship. It's all about building the freaking relationship. So because
It,
this like there's no connection between like a person and a business. It's all people and person to person. So
it
we need
is.
Yeah,
to do this.
It,
when you are like a sniper, right? You are not shooting like everyone. You really focus and study what you are gonna go. And when you do that, you also you can reuse the content you are gonna post on LinkedIn because you have it's like a marketing thing, right? You have to have a persona, like what is the only kind of person that you are gonna talk. So think on that person. I don't know. I'm gonna talk to the CEO of Coinbase, for example. So whatever post or whatever message I send, I can imagine that I'm sending to the CEO. So all all the people that looks like the CEO of the Coinbase will be interested on what you are talking about, right? Because you are talking, I don't know, about the compliance of a fintech or some really specific topics. And if you are a developer, for example, you can connect to the developers of the company, so you can create repositories that solve some issues that the company are facing, or you can contribute to the tools that the company created, because when a company creates something public, something open source, they have limited resources to put in that project. So the project probably have some issues, probably have some people complaining that something is not working as expected. So you can bring your expertise in order to participate on that community and be part of the company without being a person in the company. So, for example, the last week I saw a podcast of a Brazilian founder, the founder of Resend. You know, it's an email company on Silicon Valley that has a Brazilian as CEO, and they have lots of open source repositories. You know, and I am thinking I'm the CEO of Job Na Gringa, and I'm always thinking that if someone contributes to the tools that I created and act as a person that belongs to my team, you know, like answering people, like I don't know, on my posts, for example, or answering on my community, on my free community, you know, you will be visible
Yes.
to those founders, you know, and you always to solve what is the pain of those people. And when you think, remember on the beginning that I told you that you have to be a sniper on only one person. So you have to think, what is the pain of the CEO of the Coinbase? So
Yeah.
other people will have the same pain, you know, and you can reuse this as a content and you create like a cycle of thing, you know, like how I created a tool based on the open source thing of Resend, you know, and you can create a blog post and you can tag the company and you can say, okay, Resend at Resend created a nice tool, the founder of the company, you know. So that was brilliant, Tony. That's exactly what we say.
Well, and companies, founders of startups are very mission driven. And the more you can interact with them when there's no job available, the more that it proves that you align with their company, because they're afraid that they're just going to find somebody who needs a job and they don't necessarily want to work for their company, right? So if you start like 3 months, 6 months, a year, I really love Resend. I love what you guys are doing, right? You're building that foundation. And I saw a question in the chat. It says, how do I not be annoying when I'm doing reach out? And what I always say is ask yourself, am I adding value to their day, right? So when you're reaching out, don't ask if they have a job every single time. Again, right? Find an article, find a piece of news that would find useful for, just wish them a happy day. If they put a great post on LinkedIn, just say like, hey, great post, have a great day. But don't ask for something in return. Give more, take less, and eventually you're going to get what you actually want. So that's one piece. The other thing I would tell people when it comes to LinkedIn is we all have to do a better job of posting some sort of original content. Now, it doesn't mean we need to be a social creator, but what I ask anybody that I mentor, I said, okay, if you had to pick one subject that you feel you could talk passionately about for an hour, 2 hours, nonstop, what would that subject be? And then what I say is, okay, we figured that out. Now let's open up a Notion document and let's start unpacking it, right? So let's say it's automated testing because I was helping some QA engineers. Okay, so we got the subject of automated testing. Now we can start creating different subjects around it. What is automated testing? How do I get started in automated testing? Here are 5 mistakes I made when I was getting started in automated testing. Here are 3 great new AI-driven automated testing tools. Here's how I would interview somebody for automated testing. Now, you've got 7 to 10 different subjects around just automated testing because you love automated testing. That's what you're passionate about. Now, we can start breaking that down into an article, a post, a video, a white paper, a carousel. Now you've created 60 pieces of content around one subject. Now you become the subject matter expert. So then when you're looking for an automated tested job and you're reaching out to that founder in America, you can say, I'm an expert in automated testing. Take a look at my LinkedIn and you can see that all of a sudden now you have more expertise. You're like, oh my gosh, I need to talk to this person, right? The other trick too is if you're connecting with all those people in the United States and you're posting, the algorithm is going to help you because you're going to see all of their new posts and their last posts. They're going to see all of yours as well. And it cuts through a lot of the noise and you start standing out a lot more. So I'm saying just start with posting once a week, just once a week. Build from there. You don't need to post every day, but just once a week on something that you really love and you're really knowledgeable about.
We have more questions of our community. Juliana is asking, when messaging people, I'm always afraid of being annoying. How do I know where the limit is?
Well, I think he just responded.
Yeah, like I said, just
Yeah.
keep adding value.
Well, I have another question that is someone just brought up this question, but I don't know where it is. But well, here it is. It's from Mateus. It's regarding junior level and entry level, which is another kind of challenge as well, and a very classical topic as well. For example, and it asks like, "Hi Tony, I have 3+ years of tech experience, but see entry level jobs abroad requiring 4+ years." Well, he's saying that he's like an entry level, junior level, but he only sees like 4+ year jobs posted. So do you see how I will make this question better maybe. How does a person who's like a junior, how does this person should approach a job? Is there any chance at all? How do these people increase their chances?
Yeah, so there are a couple of different ways you can go about doing that. See if you can take on any freelance work for some US companies, basically expanding your portfolio. So whether it's Upwork or Fiverr, that's a great way. Basically, you just want to get exposure to add to your portfolio. There are other ways you can do that as well. Oftentimes, you will find very, very early stage startups who don't have a lot of capital, who maybe they need an MVP built, that they're willing to work with junior level talent in order to be able to get it done. Probably the best thing that I can tell somebody is if you don't necessarily have the technical experience yet, just really making sure that you're working on the soft skills. So the way people can overcome a lack of technical experience is if you have phenomenal communication skills. So, you've really upskilled your English, the ability to network, have a very, very impressive portfolio of projects. That's going to be a great, what contribute to open source libraries, things like that, where people can actually see your work and, and actually like be hands-on with it. That's going to help. You have a better chance at breaking into a US job through early stage startups because a lot of companies now, they'll take 3 years of experience if you have a good portfolio. So, but you have to be good. What I want to make sure, I want to just get it across to people too, is the bar is going to be very, very high. And I would always ask myself an honest question is, do I think I'm good enough to be considered for that? And if you can't honestly tell yourself that you are, then you might need to keep working on being a better developer, because there's a lot of senior developers who they might have the years of experience, but it doesn't mean they're necessarily the quality that somebody needs. And I've seen junior people who are light years better than a senior person. They don't have years. So I would just say it's more about making sure that your skill set is really, really strong and transferable.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thanks so much for sharing that, Tony. Well, now I will shift to a topic that's A Brazilian topic, which you have, I think you have seen that previously, mostly with like any Brazilian conversation, which is like there's a certain level of English that you need to know to speak, like to be like among American people.
Yeah.
So how do you think, uh, like this is like me, Brazilian, asking to an American for first time here in Job na Gringa, which is like highly special. I have asked this like to many other recruiters and etc. here on our podcast, but this is now like an American person telling us. Uh, do you guys understand us at all? How do you guys face like a Latin person trying to speak a non-native language?
Sure.
Like
Sure.
how is this like challenging on your end to understand us? Because like for us, we have watched video like American movies since we are like we were born. So how do you guys approach this challenge or this limit of us?
So, I mean, I've developed an ear because I've talked to so many people in Brazil over the years that I have no problem understanding anybody. Um, what I always tell companies is that you have to set your expectations about what you're going to be experiencing. I said, you have to be okay that they're going to have an accent. Their accent's never going to go away, right? Probably the biggest thing what we hear back from hiring managers is it's not so much that maybe there's a pause between a word or maybe they had a thick accent. Probably the biggest thing they hear is that somebody wasn't able to fully communicate their thought process to somebody, right? So what I encourage anybody whenever they're going into an interview and they're feeling like maybe they're a little hesitant is, first off, I always say, like, 5 minutes before you're going to go into an interview, just like take a breath and tell yourself you belong in that interview. You're a talented professional and that company would be lucky to have you. Okay. That's the first thing you need to do. Secondly, if you feel like, you're going to be nervous, when I go into the interview, the first thing I'm going to tell the hiring manager is saying, hey, I'm really excited to meet you today. I'm going to be honest with you. I may be a little bit nervous because English is not my first language, but I assure you, I have no problem communicating today, and I'm really excited to meet you, right? Kind of just putting it out there right away lets the person go, hey, it's no problem. We're going to be okay. The other way I really, really try to encourage people is you want to try to engage it in a conversation and not so much question, answer, but more about a back and forth conversation. And I teach a lot of people tricks on how to do that, but it is okay to perfectly say, you know what? English is not my first language, but guess what is universal? Coding and development. That is universal, right? And 90% of the time, people are working asynchronously through Slack anyway. So it's just important, just address it, right? But that's the other thing as well, is I do test for English. I'm pretty reasonable and I do set my clients up for that English expectation. But if you can't communicate across like thought processes, what that might be is it might not be an English thing. It might be a personal thing of maybe they're just not articulate enough to be able to explain it. Because I mean, I know a million developers who are amazing, but they're introverts and they don't know how to get it from here to here, right? And I'm sure that happens even when they're speaking Portuguese in Brazil, right? So that is just more like, and this happens with Americans too. I see American developers who I know are talented, but they can't explain their thought process through, right? So that is just one thing where I say, just like, be calm, be confident, and just address it.
Yeah, just so you know, guys, everyone who is watching this right now, I'm really nervous, Tony, to be here today, by the way. Because I'm on the hot spot, I would say, because I think that this is pretty much maybe the first, maybe the second, but I think that's the first interview we do in English. So, and this is like just me talking in English, like to in front of like almost 60 people, and just trying to prove to everyone that you just should be feel calm, like people like Tony and like people who are really willing to hear you, they will hear you, like. So this is like very important to everyone to just be conscious about that and get prepared, right? So by the way, as Tony mentioned, he has like a mentorship, and you guys, because Tony, we daily we receive people asking us if we have mentorship or any kind of if we do like consultation or this kind of stuff, but we don't. We try to pose ourselves as a tool, like a tool that
Sure.
you can go in there, you can find some jobs that we scrape on the internet. We have like a couple of tips and etc., but we don't do like personalized person to person one-on-one stuff, which is highly valuable. So
Yeah.
that's why I will ask you guys, if you have ever the chance, like go to Tony page, and we are going to be posting all your information on our Discord, so people will get in there. And that's pretty much what he said. He has like a full service to help you guys understand all the context you guys might need to get to a job in the
Yeah.
United States.
But
And I
I
and,
want
and
to.
I keep and I keep all the prices very reasonable because obviously, we want to be reflective of the exchange difference. So, everything's under $100, to be able to get that.
Awesome.
Look,
Then
guys.
so let's get the chance and take free consultants here. We have two two questions. Go ahead. Two questions that are connected to the to the mistakes that candidates can have. So what are the common reasons latent candidates get rejected in the hiring process? And the other one are what are the red flags you often see on latent candidates? I mean, how can I get rejected in each of the steps of the interview process?
Yeah. So I think if we're talking from initial screen where somebody's applying, whether it's through an ATS or through a hiring manager directly, one of the first thing people see are going to be job hopping, which basically is like short jobs. Now, I do explain to my clients, I'm like, that is kind of customary in Brazil because it's contracts and, like 12-month contracts, 24-month contracts. And I also said that, it's very, very volatile down there. So companies are constantly losing. But if they see for the entirety of their career that somebody hasn't stayed someplace more than a year at a time, that could usually be a red flag. Um, Another one is if they don't specialize in anything, right? So one of the things that kind of drives me crazy as a recruiter and why I won't necessarily go through the process of trying to work with you is if I am looking for a Python developer and you're like, hey, I'm the best backend developer in the world, and you give me your resume and it's all like Node and .NET, I'm like, well, this doesn't help me, right? Well, like, I also know Python. Well, then give me a resume that is reflective of that. So if you want to get further into the hiring process, whether it's with a recruiter or it's a job posting itself, easiest thing you can do. Put the job description on one page, put your resume on the other, and see how much overlap you can have, right? Changing certain things on there to be reflective on there. Now, I don't want you to do that for every time you apply for a job because that's a lot of work. But if it's a job you're really excited about, like one that pays really well, one that you're really passionate about, you really want to try to make it as much overlap as possible, because my job as a recruiter is to make you guys look great. But I need your help. If you give me a resume that has too little information and I really don't know what you did, I can't work with that. If I have to go back and say, like, I need more information, I don't know if I want to go through the process of submitting you, because you guys have to remember, a company is paying me to bring them the very best. Average is not good enough when you're working with a recruiter. It has to be the very best. So if I post a job and I give you the job description, try to get it to match where I'm like, oh my gosh, you're the perfect candidate. I want to work with you, right? So that's one thing. Another thing too, like first interview, this seems so basic, guys, but this happens all the time. Being late for the interview happens a lot, right? I always say is 2 minutes early is being on time. So I always say is make sure, check your camera, check your microphone, close out any other applications on your computer, silence your phone. Is the light good? It seems like very, very basic stuff, but people mess it up. I talked to one person, they were wearing like a tank top, right? It's a level of professionalism, right? So show up on time, being ready to go is probably one really, really big thing that you can do that. Another thing, a lot of candidates don't ask questions, right? So somebody will say like, hey, do you have any questions for me? Yes. How much do you pay? Like, right, that's not going to help you, right? So I always coach people, like I have a list of like a bunch of different questions that I teach my students on how to ask that are really, really impactful to be able to get through like on that sort of stuff. Don't ask too many questions, but like 2, 3 tops, and then go to the next step. And then just really, really rush through the code review, not being prepared for like a code test, right? So not having your repository open, just not being prepared in general. Those are little things that can ultimately end up kind of slowing you down and not moving forward in the job process.
Tony, I have another classical question for you, which is regarding graduation in general.
Mhm.
So, how do you guys in America perceive graduation? How do you guys, for example, I dropped my graduation like 4 times. So
Yeah.
I never got graduated, and I was able like to get my job in the United States. And so how do you guys perceive that? Do you guys even compare like one candidate to the other, or you guys just go looking for skills?
Yeah, I
How's
mean,
that?
not very often are we looking for like graduation. What we might look for is like we may look and see, okay, he's got a computer science degree, something like that. What I look for personally are certifications that are more relevant to the job, right?
Mhm,
So if
mhm.
somebody's working in cloud engineering and I see that they've got multiple AWS or GCP certifications that are recent, to me, that is infinitely more valuable than a computer science degree from 10 years ago. So when we're talking about education, guys, I would just say, like, are you continuing to stay on top of evolving trends and making sure that you're posting them on your resume so you're staying relevant to the job.
Mhm. Yeah, that's highly important because, well, here in Brazil, I always say I think we overvalue like graduations in general. People hate me because I say that. I know the value of graduating. There's a lot of, like there's a whole honor stuff behind that. However, I just think that that doesn't bring over like, like sometimes you are just like more skilled than another person. So, and you just can bring the money that is invested in you back to
I
the
yeah,
giver.
I would agree with that. I think, invest into more online certifications, keep getting those. University education is always important, but to me, I don't index on it very
Hmm.
highly.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So, Tony, I would like you maybe to, I know we have briefly talked about that, but maybe if you could, like, we always open this opportunity for the person we are inviting to our call to give like an introduction and tell more how you can help our community, like from your services to like what to do you offer like as a service to help people. If you could get like a an outline of what you do, that would be amazing first.
Yeah. So, the number one thing I get people asking all the time is, do I charge people to help them find jobs? And the answer is no. What I tell people is be very, very careful of any recruiter that says, pay me to help you find a job. That's not the way it's supposed to work. I will never, ever charge anybody to help them find a job. Where I do bill, where I do charge, is again for the mentorship, training, educational things around LinkedIn, resumes, things like that. Um, we have we have a newsletter called Lily that's named after my daughter that's been going now since about February. And so we do post different, and it's free. We post more job tips, resume tricks, tips, things like that. And then we do also post exclusive jobs on there. So that gets posted weekly. We're going to be launching a Lily online Slack community that's going to be free. One of the things that we're really focusing around there is a safe community as well, where we're going to be able to post jobs, but not only technical stuff, but also the grind of what it's like to just be a human being, the mental aspects of how hard it is to work as a professional in 2025, have a family, what it's like to be unemployed, being there to support each other, as well as just more general job postings, tips, and tricks. And really, the way that I use that is I go to companies in the United States and I say, look, I don't believe in ATS systems. And here's why. ATS systems are kind of a liar. I can have resumes in there that are like 3, 4 years old. Doesn't mean they're relevant anymore. Doesn't mean that they're looking for a job, right? Instead, through community, whether it's what you guys are doing, whether it's what I'm doing, instead, we can go directly to our audience and say, this is the job we're looking to fill. Who's the best person for it? So I go to these American companies and I say, hey, look, you're looking for a React engineer. Well, I have a community online that I'm a part of that I run that's got 20,000 amazing people who could potentially want to work for you. Let me tell you about the best ones. That is how we've really been able to grow what we do here. So, the best thing to do is, again, all my links are on my LinkedIn page. We have our Lily LinkedIn page, our Lily newsletter. You can also connect with me one-on-one on my homepage. It's called Hubble. And then we'll be launching the Slack community in August as well, which will be free.
That's awesome.
Man,
And we're going to post all your links. We are also going to post on LinkedIn so
Yeah.
people can connect to you and send you DMs. And I hope they will they have the chance to bother you now.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, Tony. So that was like a great honor to have you here, man, today. That was, feel free to always come back here. And like, we will always welcome you. You are also welcome to join our Discord channel where we have like a lot of people as well. And man, you are a very generous person. You know, like this is very special for us that we have the opportunity to have someone like you trusting in Brazilians. So that's very, very special, man. And in the name of the community, I would say, like, just thanks so much for being the person you are and bringing opportunity. Look, it's like 200 people, you said.
Yeah.
It's like 200 families. How many people did you like help it? A lot. That's what the
You
heck.
know,
It's a great
well,
number.
I mean, again, I'm just do want to do right by people. One of the things, just so everyone knows as well, is like twice a month, I do promote somebody for free on my LinkedIn who's maybe out of work to help them get back to work. And I don't ask for any money from the company. I recruit for free for them to help them get a job. Right.
Mhm.
So like we had somebody who like lost their job and we got them back to work in 24 hours. They had a baby on the way. And so we like it's really important that we just try to stick together and help each other out, right? I'm no hero. I just like I need to make money and feed my family too, just like you guys do, right?
Mhm.
So like, I make money, but I just, really reasonable. But one thing that I've discovered is just like some of my best friends I've ever met live in Brazil. I've never shook their hands, but like, but like literally, if I'm having like a really really bad day, I can message them and like just have a good conversation with them. And so it becomes very very easy to like fall in love with a place like Brazil because the work that everyone does there is just really amazing. And so what I'm trying to do is just spread the word.
Yeah, man. By the way, if you ever come to Brazil, please let us know that because me and Paulo, we are gonna meet you wherever you come here. You can
Well,
come to North Brazil. We're gonna get a
come
flight
to
there.
come to
It-
Texas. Come to Texas. I'll take you
Yeah,
some
let's do it.
some
yeah,
barbecue, man.
Let's do it.
definitely,
And
definitely.
and also, Tony, we need your help.
Yeah, what's going on?
It's my last thing. Who do you think would be a great person to talk to us in our community?
I don't know. I mean, you talk to like everyone who's like a superstar in the community, right? I mean, you've talked to Tammy, you've talked to, you
Oh
know,
no, but I mean, do you know like a CEO, an American person that we can bring to talk to our community and do
yeah.
some live broadcasts?
Let me think about that and maybe I'll make some recommendations for sure.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds
Yeah,
Yeah.
good,
and
Tony.
and by the way, Tony, I'm making here a public invitation for you, like without Paulo authorization, but like to bring all your services and everything for free on our website. We really want to promote your work for free on our website, jobs and everything. We really want to join you to help us bring opportunities to Brazilian. That's something that I think we can all help each other in. This is just a mission for us and for you as well. So, look, guys, this is like an example of generosity and
No way,
just
no way. I
thank you
want
so
my
much.
term, my 10%.
Okay, I'm gonna negotiate that with him.
I will I
I
will
am the capitalist here, you know.
I'll pay you in beer.
All
Yeah.
right, that's good enough.
There you go.
Okay,
So, Tony, thanks so much for being here today. That was like very special call for us. Thanks for bringing all the attention to our community. You are a very generous person, as I said, and
that's it.
that's it, man. Thanks so
That's it.
much.
That was a pleasure. Have a great night, guys.
Thanks,
Bye
guys.
bye.